Good evening to our families. Welcome to the Deer Creek Elementary Community Meeting. Thank you so much for being here tonight, that we can share some information with you as we get closer to starting school. I want to do a few housekeeping things first before we get more into the content. The first thing is, again, if you need interpretation for Spanish, there's a small globe at the bottom of the screen in the panel. If you click on that, you can get Spanish translation. If you mute your original audio, then you should only hear the Spanish rather than hearing English at the same time. Daisy, you can explain that. That would be great.
Si requieren que la presentación sea traducida, si oprimen el botón que parece un mundo al fondo de la pantalla, pueden elegir escuchar en español.
Secondly, if you need closed captioning, there's also a button at the bottom of the screen that you can click on for closed captioning. The next thing for some housekeeping items is this presentation will be recorded, and you'll be able to find it on the district's YouTube channel later on. If there's some information you missed or you want to go back and watch it again, then you're welcome to do so. And then lastly, and very importantly, at the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat button. That chat button is specifically for if you have some technical problems. So if there's technology is not working on your end or something, you can go in the chat. That is the main reason for that button. If you have a question that you want to have answered, down below it says Q&A. That's the button you want to put your questions into. So please, use the Q&A button tonight. That will be much helpful. We have a lot of people behind the screen, so to speak, trying to answer as many questions as we can this evening. So with that, let's get, before I do that, I do need to thank a couple people. Behind the screens that you don't see, there are two people that are doing a ton of the work around making sure that this presentation works, and that's Lisa Burton and Thor Coote. They are phenomenal people that are pushing a lot of buttons to make this thing work really well. So even though you don't ever get to see them, they're the magic behind all of this. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. My name is Jarvis Gomez, the principal of Deer Creek. Some of you do know who I am, but we might have some new families that are joining us. And so that's who I am. And I will be introducing a few of our staff members this evening. These same staff members are behind the screen answering questions, and you will also hear from a couple of them later on. So what we're gonna do tonight is talk about the day in the life, give the schedule. We're gonna learn from home what that looks like and how a parent can help with that. Give some details on supply pickup details and some tech support. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about our Deer Creek family connections and what that looks like going into the start of school. Number three, we're going to, Miss Wilson, our counselor, is going to talk about some social emotional learning and our basic needs that some of our families may need. Mrs. Christofferson, our literacy specialist, is going to talk about our literacy programs here at Deer Creek. And then Juliet Hugeback, our PSO president, is going to finish us off with how you can support or get involved with PSO. And that's the main agenda for this evening. Next slide, please. We are here to help. I know that these are some trying times. There's lots of questions. Just want to let you know our office team is amazing, and they are here to help you. On the screen, you can see a phone number and email address if you have questions. Again, this is being recorded, so if you don't have time to write all this down, you can go back and get this information. Next slide. So, like I said earlier, I was going to introduce some people that are going to either talk tonight or just be in the background to answer questions. And so there's me, principal. And Dinah Christofferson, I let you know she'll be talking tonight. She's our literacy specialist. Diane Wilson is our counselor, and she'll be talking a little bit later about social emotional learning. Want to go next slide? And then to start off with our office staff, Denise Holquist, our head secretary, and Christy Korsness, our bookkeeper, are here tonight. They'll just be back there answering some questions. Next slide. Also in the office is Alma Rolls. She's our bilingual and attendance secretary. And then new to Deer Creek this year is Daisy Ruiz as our family partnership advocate. You got to see her a little bit doing some translation for us earlier. So welcome, Daisy. Next slide, please. Also in the background is Angie Duth, one of our kindergarten teachers. She is here to help answer questions. She was part of a committee that developed our plan to start school. So she is fairly knowledgeable about what we're doing as we start school. And then I mentioned Juliet Hugeback, our PSO president. Just want to put a face to the name. She'll be talking later tonight about getting involved with PSO. Next slide. And then we have two other people that are joining us from the district office, but they are amazing. Laura Resnick is our instructional coach at Deer Creek, and she's able to help with many of the technology and curriculum questions that might come up. And then lastly, that I want to introduce is Tim Blackburn, our Title III administrator, works with our ELD programs and so forth. And he's in the background also answering questions. So thanks to those two for joining us tonight. So let's get into the meat of the meeting after those introductions. I know there's some questions about class placement, and now that we've had families choose whether they want to be their student be in 100% online or hybrid, I have been working on balancing classes, and our goal is to make sure classes are balanced, meaning that each class in a grade has the same number of students in it. Then I assign those students whether they chose 100% online or hybrid. And then the last part that I have to look at is alpha. As you know, we had to make our cohorts done by alpha, and that's for 2nd through 5th grade. Remember, K1, kindergarten and 1st grade, if we meet metrics and get to come back to school, then they will be coming to school 4 days a week. And we don't, their class is their whole cohort. One thing I do want to mention that is great for Deer Creek, there was a question around the 100% online class if your student was going to have a Deer Creek teacher or potentially a different teacher from a different school. We are lucky, and I'm glad to say, that every student that chose 100% online will have a Deer Creek teacher. So that is a great thing, that no student will have a teacher from a different school. Next slide, please. So our daily schedule that you have seen before, this is just a different way of looking at this. When we start school on the 14th of September, well, pause there for a second. Let me just tell you what our daily schedule looks like, and then I'll get into what the 14th looks like. So class will start at 8:30, and our teachers will meet with their kids to go over a class meeting, do some social emotional learning. That will last about 40 minutes. That's some time for students to get to know each other, talk about their day, what's happening in the day in the life of themselves and stuff. Then we'll have the students take a 10-minute break. And then after that, they will come back and have a literacy block that includes instruction. That will be teacher-led instruction, that they will be able to learn what their Florida virtual lesson may look like. The teacher may talk to them about things that they want to stress in the lesson. and so forth. So there'll be some literacy instruction during that time. Then at 10:05, that's when the literacy block will continue, but it's more of the student working on their Florida virtual curriculum. It's work time, maybe there's some small group, and maybe the teacher wants to talk to 1 or 2 kids to just check on some things, but there's about 40 minutes where they're working on Florida virtual. Then they'll get another break from their learning from 10:50 to 11. Next slide. And then they go into a math block where that is teacher-led instruction. That is where they are in front of their iPads looking at the teacher and teachers giving some instruction. And then after that, the students will be working on their Florida virtual assignment in math. Again, that could be independent, that could be in small groups with the teacher. It's just an open time to work on their math work. Then we schedule time for lunch. And then, after lunch, students can work on content. What content means is that it's writing, social studies, or science. That has been pushed out through Canvas, and it's Florida virtual work. And then from 1 to 2:30, students can work on interventions, whether they are potentially in special education, working with our literacy teachers or our ELD teachers. They can also be doing their specials, PE, or music. So that hour and a half is open to finish some assignments, work on interventions, ELD, or specials. Next slide, please. And then remember, Wednesday is different. On Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday was the schedule I just shared. On Wednesday, it's a little bit different. From 8:30 to 9:10, we will still have a class meeting where all students join their teacher in the morning. And then at 9:10, that's independent work, where students are working on some assignments that the teachers have pushed out. And again, from 1 to 2:30 is still a time where students could work on their interventions, ELD, or specials. Next slide. So how are we going to start school? What's that look like? The first thing that's really important is the home learning environment. I know that there has been some questions and some concerns about how do I make sure my student stays engaged while at home. And the very first thing that I think is important is to try to create a space in the house, in the room, in the living room, whatever meets your needs, that is your student's place of learning. So if that is a corner of their bedroom that you can set up that is just for learning, that would be great. If that they have their schoolwork in that one spot. So being organized is helpful. And I know that sometimes is hard depending on different situations, but the best you can do that, I think it creates a safe place that is the student's learning space. The second part is creating routine. And that's one reason why we developed a schedule like we did, to try to make it as much of a routine for the students as possible, so that they know what to expect each and every day, and not having to guess when an assignment is coming out. So they know when their reading assignment is, and they know when math instruction is, and so forth. So creating that routine at home also is very helpful. And then the other part of it is just getting familiar with Canvas and Florida Virtual. I want to point out that there is a family technology night. There was one last night, and there'll be a second one tomorrow, the 26th. And from 3 to 4, there's one that will be in English, and then from 4 to 5, there'll be one in Spanish. Those are very, very helpful. I would encourage you to join those sessions. You should have received an email from our technology department with the link to join those sessions. And then Florida Virtual as well. On the 26th, if I'm correct, I hope I'm correct, there will be some Florida virtual conversation also, not just Canvas. Next slide, please. And then we have some questions about school supply lists and iPad pickup. Our school supply list, we are keeping the same at Deer Creek as if we were coming back to school in a normal year. Looking at our list and what is recommended from Florida Virtual are fairly identical. So we ask that you stick with that supply list, keep them at home. If we ever do get to come back in a hybrid model, you could bring half of those supplies to school, so your student has half at school and half at home. But as of right now, the supply list on our website is the best one to use. And then iPad pickup. For our 1st through 5th grade students that were unable to pick up, I think a week ago, tomorrow, we are having a second iPad pickup if you were unable to join us the first day from 8:30 to 5:30. All you need to do is come to the school, call our office, and we will make the exchange anytime during those hours. For our kindergarten families that need to pick up their iPad, we are scheduling an iPad pickup day for the week of this September 7th. There will be more information to come on that, but anticipate having a time where you can come to school, meet your teacher, and pick up your iPad during the week of the 7th. Next slide, please. So earlier on in the agenda, I talk about the family connection meeting. And this is very important and exciting at the same time, especially since the way that we have to start school in an online model. These connections are a one-on-one whole family connection with your teacher. It will still be virtual. They will be on Monday, September 14th, and Tuesday, September 15th. A couple weeks before that, your teacher, once they're assigned to your student, will call you to set up a meeting, either the 14th and 15th. The idea is to be flexible those days. Know that on the 14th and 15th, and I'll get to this in a second, no real content for like reading and mathfully giving on the 14th and 15th. The goal is to you to get to know your teacher and your teachers to get to know their students. So we really want to start the year on a strong relationship and have an open line of communication. So this is a time where you will have that conversation with your teacher. It also is a time where the teacher will ask if there's any needs that you may have. Specifically, maybe it's internet access. It is maybe you need help with food and so forth. So the teacher may ask a couple of questions of how they can support you. Next slide, please. This is another way of looking at what I just said. Some people like tables and charts. So Monday and Tuesday of that first week of school on the 14th and 15th, we will still have every kid join their teacher at 8:30 for a virtual meeting, just to check in. Once that's over, then teachers will be scheduling meetings with families for those one-on-one connect meetings. Wednesday is still considered the same day that you've seen in the past. They'll have their interaction meeting at 8:30, and then after that, teachers will be planning to get ready for the first day of school with content, and that will be on Thursday, the 17th. We will have the class meeting at 8:30, and then that schedule that I shared earlier will be what our students follow. Next slide, please. If you need some help, we have a technology help desk that you can see the phone number there if you're having some problems connecting. We actually recommend that you use the school iPad that we have checked out to your student. There have been some parents that say, can my student use the computer at home or their home iPad? The answer is yes, you can. However, the school iPad has the apps already preloaded on there, and it's much easier to navigate if you have the school iPad. So I encourage you to come pick it up if you have not. If you need internet access, whether you need a hotspot or you're having some issues with your Wi-Fi, I ask that you email Alma Rawls in our to get some support. Her phone number is there as well. Next slide, please. And at this point, I am going to stop talking because I've talked quite a bit and turn this over to Diane Wilson, our counselor.
Oh, I'm Diane Wilson. I'm the school counselor at Deer Creek Elementary School. And my position really does many different things. But one of the main things that you will recognize as a counselor is that I meet with students. And when we're in a brick and mortar situation, I will often have students do daily check-ins and check-outs with me. I run appointment-based groups to focus on targeted skills that can help students be more successful in the school setting. I do a lot of short lunch buddy type of groups that can assist with friendship building, and as well as meeting with students individually on short-term basis for some emotional needs. I also often speak with parents about concerns that they may have in the home. And when those emotional needs of the student become more than what can be helpful in the school setting or family needs, I often help refer families to outside resources for ongoing counseling. I also often collaborate with teachers on different strategies in the classroom to help with behavior. Of course, this will look different during virtual learning. However, I expect to still be seeing students for different issues virtually as well as parents. I will continue to collaborate with teachers to help students to be successful. And I will be scheduling some group times for students to meet with, to work on specific skills. Your student may also work with Erin Reed or Miss Erin. She is an effective behavior IA and she is my right hand. I would be just lost without her. Many of you already know her from her work already with students and her fabulous work with the car lines before and after school. I cannot believe the patience of that woman. How do you connect with me or with Miss Erin? You can reach out to your child's teacher, or you can email me directly at the number shown on the slide. Both Miss Erin and I can also be reached by email and by phone. If we can go to the next slide. Your teacher will be working with your children on social emotional learning, or SEL. This will be most evident during the daily class meetings, although teachers at Deer Creek are continually emphasizing social emotional learning all throughout the day in many different ways. There are several different core curriculums that teachers use at Deer Creek. The first is PACS, and this is a program that our district has been implementing for several years, especially at the lower grades. This often includes vision charts where each classroom will collaboratively create a list of agreements and norms for how the teachers and students will respond and interact with one another to ensure emotional health and safety for everyone. Other parts of the teacher's toolbox for teaching SEL are lessons from Teaching Tolerance. This is a resource on teaching tolerance social justice standards, and it's the building block for anti-bias and anti-racist education. The emphasis is on building a positive self-identity, empathy, and then learning to recognize and how to interrupt bullying and discrimination. In addition, there are lessons developed through the CASTLE framework. There are 5 main components of CASTLE, and this rotates on a 5-week cycle throughout the year. The different main points are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and self-awareness. Next slide, please. Last spring, we developed a basic needs team at our school that assisted families with additional assistance during that trying time. The main people on that team in the spring and throughout the summer were myself, Erin Reed, Kim Marie Bronco, Melissa Serta, and Alma Rawls. I know that many of our families benefited from the dedicated hard work, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned their names and thanks. We also have a new hire at our school that will be assisting with the basic needs team, and her name is Daisy Ruiz. She is bilingual and is a welcome addition to our school community. She is familiar with our community, having attended growing up in our schools in our area. The basic needs team can assist you with getting weekly food for your household and can at times be quite imaginative in regards to other needs as well, such as finding fans for a household this past summer. The Caring Closet is a resource that is quite helpful for families. A family in need can go shopping twice a year for their student for needed clothing. This can help tremendously with clothing costs for families. If you're interested in getting help through the Caring Closet, please contact myself or the front office. Currently, families will be able to pick up lunches at Metzger and at Tualatin Elementary. How do I get support? You can reach out to your student's teacher or call myself or Daisy Perez directly. Families may also be in need of school supplies for beginning of this year. If you find yourself unable to afford school supplies, please contact the front office this week so that we can have your student added to the list to be able to obtain some assistance with that. Please speak with Alma Rawls to be added to the list for school supplies. Thank you so much. And now I believe Dinah Christopherson will have a chance to present about early literacy. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Hi, I'm Dinah Christopherson. I'm the literacy specialist and Title I coordinator at Deer Creek Elementary. And as we work towards our distance learning this fall, one of the key things to know is that reading is still a priority for Tigard-Tualatin School District and for Deer Creek. And as part of that, we are working with you as a partner and parents to help support our students. And it's key that we understand how those reading skills progress. And so you see on this slide, the transitional skills that we have in reading, going from pre-reading to early, transitional, and fluent readers. The foundational skills that we really want to make sure we're enforcing with our students are those pre-reading and early skills. Having phonics and phonemic awareness be something that they practice often and continuously. This is the foundation for them to be able to go on to be fluent and accurate readers that can then comprehend at a higher level. And so working through these stages, we'll work as partner with you at home and with your classroom teacher. We're all going to work as a team. I know as a parent of 4 kids of my own, I understand the ups and downs, and we're going to figure it out together. But reading is definitely going to be a priority for us as we move forward. We're dedicated to quality instruction with our teachers and our support staff. And we're going to be doing some reading assessment as we have in the past. We just haven't worked out what the procedure looks like in this online community. So know that we are still working on that. Please have patience with us as we figure this out, but we will be doing some assessment to help figure out the best way to serve our students' needs. Also key to note is at the bottom of this slide, you can see we are a Title I school. That means we receive federal funds to support all of the students in our school. And we support each student depending on what their individual needs may be. So we'll continue to support students who need it through small group, through one-on-one support. We will work to support the classroom teachers and also provide a resource for families who need extra support at home as we partner with your literacy in helping your student. Next slide, please. And 2 of those things that we need to do as a team is to make sure our students are reading all the time. So the most critical component you can do as a parent is to have your student read for 20 minutes every day. Now, if you have a pre-reader or an early reader, that might be that you're reading with them or to them, and that's just fine. If you have a student who's already a reader, then they can read with you or to you. The key is we want them to be reading out loud so that you can engage with them in discussion and make it an interactive time. The second thing about reading with them at home is we want it to be positive. So help them engage in literacy around them that they find interesting. Maybe they're reading a recipe with you or building the grocery list. You can also turn on the closed caption on their cartoons in the morning. But if you need help finding resources, whether it be physical books or digital resources on their iPad, we are here to help you have those resources. We want to find fun, engaging, and positive ways for your students to be reading at home and for us to help you do that. If you have any questions or concerns regarding reading, you can always reach out to your classroom teacher, or you can get a hold of me. My email and phone number are there on this slide, and we are happy to help figure out resources, figure out strategies, routines that you need. Remember, we're in this together and we're going to figure it out and do the best that we can. Your kids are going to do great this year. I'm going to pass it on to Juliet Hugeback. She is our PSO president.
Hey everybody, my name is Juliet Hugeback and I'm the president this year. Things are going to look a little different this year, but I'm hoping that we can still make them fun. Our PSO has been brainstorming up ideas on how to meet our community needs, increase school spirit, and bring the fun back to Deer Creek. As a parent or guardian of a Deer Creek student, you are automatically part of our PSO team. Do you have an idea for a fun virtual event or a way to support our kids, teachers, staff, and family here at Deer Creek? We would love to have your help. Please join me and the rest of our board at our first PSO meeting on September 22nd at 7 p.m. Thank you, and I hope to see you there.
Next slide, please. This is the conclusion of our meeting tonight. I hope you found the information useful and are starting to get excited about the start of school. This is just an email contact list for the people that you may need to reach out to. Again, this is recorded, so if you need to come back and look at this slide, you can get that information. This is also on our website that you can get the information as well. We are excited to have you join us when we start on September 14th. Our teachers are getting excited. I know this is a lot different than we're used to, but I think somebody said earlier, I think Dinah was, that we're in this together and we're going to do it. It's going to be great. I look forward to meeting some of you probably more virtually than in person. I wish it was in person, but we will get there someday. I appreciate everybody. Hope you all have a great night, and we will see you soon.